Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this evening's meeting of Braintree District Council. Just simple housekeeping. There is no fire practice or fire practice this evening, so if the alarm does go off, we will exit the building by the normal exits and meet in the car park. Other than that, I think we will press on. First of all, with apologies for absence, please.
Chairman, you have apologies for absence from Councillor Charlie Dervish and Councillor Paul Heath. There's no further apologies from the membership of Cabinet.
Fine, thank you. Noted. Move on to item 2, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of the existence and nature of any disclosable pecuniary interest, other pecuniary interest or non-pecuniary interest relating to items on the agenda, having regard to the Code of Conduct for members and having taken appropriate advice where necessary before the meeting? Councillor Cunningham. Councillor Tom Cunningham.
Chairman, thank you very much. I'd like to declare a non-pecuniary interest in item 5, the Highway Virgin Visibility Contract. As Cabinet Member for Highways, Infrastructure and Sustainable Transport and Essex County Council, the money that BDC is allocating tonight has obviously been secured from ECC within that portfolio, so it would be inappropriate for me to partake in the debate, so I will take my leave of that item, Chairman, and return after that item has been debated and decided. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Any other declarations of interest? Councillor Ritchie.
Thank you, Mr Chairman. Just a non-pecuniary interest in agenda item 8 as Deputy Chairman of Great Notley Parish Council. The PSPO item has been broadly covered by a number of meetings at Great Notley Parish Council, and also myself have reported a number of instances at Great Notley to Essex Police on a number of occasions, but I shall stay and discuss the paper. Thank you.
And, sorry, Councillor Cunningham.
Chairman, perhaps an over declaration, but declare non-pecuniary interest as a member of Great Notley Parish Council on that item.
And similarly, because I also made a statement to the police on that particular issue. But again, we'll stay and participate. Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll move on to, excuse me, on to item 3, minutes of the previous meeting held on the 27th of May. The minutes have been circulated. Are you happy that they are a true record and that I sign them accordingly?
Agreed.
Agreed. Thank you. Thank you very much. Item 4 is public question time. To the best of my knowledge, we have no registered speakers for this evening's meeting.
That is correct, Chairman. No
So we will proceed with the agenda. We go to agenda item 5, which is the Highway Verge and Visibility Contract, and Councillor Tom Cunningham is leaving. And we have the paper before you tonight, colleagues, which starts on page 5. And in this, as I say, would normally fall within Councillor Cunningham's portfolio, but following his declaration of interest, I've been numbered with it, I suppose is the only way I can put it. So, the purpose of this report is to seek delegated authority to the Corporate Director Operational to award a contract for the Highway Verge and Visibility Cutting Contract to the winning bidder following the conclusion of the procurement exercise. Colleagues will be aware that the contract for hedgeway verge and visibility cutting has been a topic which has caused a bit of interest and discussion over the years. That the County Council did go to an annual one cut a year for a trial period of 3 years, which finished in 2024, and you'll be aware that there was quite a lot of discussion from members on this council as to whether once a year was sufficient, and also the fact that in some cases there should be additional cuts for road safety purposes during the course of that year. The Essex Highways have now decided to revert back to 2 cuts per annum, which would take place in the spring and autumn. And therefore this council, which maintains the verges on behalf of Essex County Council, Essex County Council are the statutory highways authority, but Braintree District Council maintains the highways verges on behalf of Essex County Council. So the proposal is that there should be a contract which would start in the autumn of this year for 2 cuts per annum to take place in the spring and autumn, and also to include within it the ability for up to 40 safety cuts to be taken where it is considered necessary, in those places where to help the sighting, particularly on road junctions, etc., that might be necessary. You have before you tonight the procurement timeline, which is set out in paragraph 3.6, which will be for a 2-year contract. The paper refers also to the fact that during the course of that 2-year period, there is likely to be changes arising from local government reform, and set out there is the fact that the council will need to make those changes potentially aware to people who might be tendering for this contract. The consultation with the procurement partnership has led to a consultation exercise via a market engagement questionnaire to advertise to find a tender. We have had some responses which have helped to build the specification for this tender, and the intention is that that tender will go out at the in this month. Full tender process will therefore commence following this evening's meeting, if it is agreed, with the anticipated contract start of the 1st of October. Essex County Council have confirmed a budget allocation of £150,000 for 2025-26 to fulfil this contract, and it's anticipated that the arrangement between ECC and Braintree District Council will continue during the lifespan of the contract. Essex County Council have provided the council with the budget for several years to carry out verge cutting, and there are no changes expected. So the total cost of the contract over a 4-year period, including administrative costs for the council, is likely to be in the range of £600,000. So the recommendation for this is contained in paragraph 2 of the paper before you this evening, and I can just hone in on it. To agree to delegate authority to the Corporate Director Operational to award a contract for 2 years with the option to extend for 2 years in 1-year increments to the winning bidder for an estimated contract value of £600,000 at the conclusion of a successful procurement exercise. I so move that. Is there a seconder for that, please? Seconder, Councillor Ritchie, thank you. Are there any comments or questions at all? Councillor Jeffries, Lynn Jeffries.
Thank you. I probably don't need to ask this question, but will May be considered as not a month when it's cut, because we've in the past had no mow May for the wildlife, and also just to ask that litter picking happens before the cutting.
On the second point, I couldn't agree with you more, because what we don't want is one piece of paper becoming 20 pieces of paper, so that is fully accepted. And I'm sure that the cutting will take account of what times of the year it is permissible to cut, etc. I'm not an expert on that, but I will make sure that it's raised. Thank you. Councillor Bowers-Flint. Lynette.
Thank you. You may not be able to answer this because I understand that it isn't really your portfolio. However, I'm going to ask the question because I would love to know the answer. It states, and you actually stated, that this does up to 40 safety cuts per annum. With the amount of junctions that we've got in our rural areas, what happens when we get to 41?
Shall we move on to the next item on the agenda? I don't know on that or how that's done. Clearly, you know, we will find out outside of this meeting. Thank you for realising that. Councillor Schreer, yes, please, help.
Thank you, Chair. No, not really to help on that, but I just wanted
Thank you very much.
I just wanted to comment generally on the contract. I mean, I think the recommendation is very, very apt, especially taking into account the potential for local government reorganisation. And as we are all aware, this has come about because of the expressions of many of our residents, especially in rural areas, about the need to have that safety on junctions. And at this time of year, when we have lots of HGVs actually on the rural roads, along with heavy tractors and trailers manipulating, and of course it depends on the weather a lot, so this is very welcome. And to answer a little bit about the biodiversity, of course this contract, as far as I'm aware, is only for a verge cutting of 1 verge deep. It's not for multiple cuts. So depending on the size of the verge, the biodiversity and the grass and the wildflowers, should there be any in there, will continue along with any flora and fauna in there. So this is purely safety on the roadside itself, just 1 cut deep, to ensure everybody's safety. And I think that has really been a focus in rural areas over the last few years about the concerns, especially with the narrow roads and the junctions, as mentioned. And I also welcome that flexibility of the 40 extra cuts, because depending on the weather, that is going to be absolutely vital to be able to, again, ensure safety and the standard that we want for all of our residents and businesses to carry on through Essex Road safety in the future. So I welcome this, and I think it's really good and will benefit us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Schreer. Officers will have picked up the serious question Councillor Bowers-Flint raised about the number 41. No doubt we'll get some advice on that in due course when we reach 39. Okay, are you happy then to accept the recommendation as set out? Yes? Good, fine, thank you. Can we therefore invite Councillor Tom Cunningham back into the chamber, please? Thank you, Councillor Cunningham. Your colleague, Bowers-Flint, will want to talk to you about cut 41. Right. Okay? I'll just mention that so it doesn't get lost. Right. If you're settled back in, Tom, we move on to item 6, the traffic management contract. Councillor Cunningham. Tom Cunningham.
Thank you, Chairman. And the purpose of this is to award a contract for traffic management for us to enable works to be carried out in terms of our litter collection along some of our main roads. Colleagues will remember that in the budgetary process the budget agreed in February, there was additional funding for this type of work, all part of our additional investment in Pride in Place initiatives, keeping the district neat and tidy, which we know is something that all residents right across the districts from Sturmer to Nounsley. And as a result, we're bringing forward this paper today, having gone through a procurement process. I'm very, very pleased that we're able to use the Essex Procurement Partnership, which is showing a great example of how, when working together, we can lever in better value for the sector right across Essex, and that's ahead of any local government reorganisation or devolution. Good, sound, collaborative working, helping us with that process. But what it does indicate is that whilst Pride in Place is a key priority, and I'm sure will continue to be a key priority in the years ahead, it does come at a cost. Keeping this district tidy, and particularly keeping some of these main roads where traffic management is necessary, does come at a great expense, and that takes some finding. And it's very, very fortunate we have the means and the resources here at Braintree District Council to be able to make those investments and ensure that work's carried out. So, Chairman, without further ado, I would like to move recommendation 2.1, which is to approve the award of the contract to H.W. Martin for traffic management as a 3-year contract, plus the option to extend 1 year plus 1 year. The total of this contract over the 5-year period is not expected to exceed £400,000 based on the work schedule currently in place. Mr Chairman, I so move. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm pleased to present this report to Cabinet on accommodation-based housing-related support, which addresses a pressing issue for our district and the residents who rely on us most. As you will be aware, Essex County Council have confirmed that it will be withdrawing its funding for this support from September 2025. This decision affects 65 supported housing units across Braintree District, including Digby's Court and New Directions, schemes that provide vital support to individuals with complex needs, including mental health challenges, substance misuse, and difficulties with managing daily life. The withdrawal of this funding presents a significant risk to the well-being of vulnerable residents and to the Council's ability to meet its statutory duties under the Housing Act 1996 and the Homelessness Reduction Act 2017. Without intervention, we face the potential closure of services that currently prevent rough sleeping, reduce crisis interventions and support individuals in transitioning to more stable, independent living. The impact would not be felt by those directly affected, but would also place additional strain on our housing services, emergency accommodation and wider community support systems. The report recommends that we allocate £177,571 from the Homelessness Prevention Grant to maintain services at Digby's Court and New Directions for a further 12 months. This has got with the potential to extend it for a further 12-month period. This funding will provide a crucial bridge while we undertake a comprehensive needs assessment, explore sustainable funding options and align our local provision with the requirements of the Supported Housing Act 2023. This Act places a duty on local authorities to ensure that supported housing meets national standards and it is integrated into local housing strategies, something that we are committed to delivering. It's important to note that this recommendation is not made lightly. The report outlines a range of options, including broader funding across all affected schemes and even a do-nothing approach. However, these alternatives either exceed our current budget capacity or could leave us exposed to legal, financial and reputational risk. The recommended option, focused on Digby's Court and New Direction, strikes a balance between financial considerations and social responsibility. These two schemes are the most strategically and operationally effective in supporting individuals who meet the legal thresholds for priority need and some of our most vulnerable households in the district. New Directions, operated by Salvation Army, provides 24/7 wraparound support for individuals with high and complex needs. Digby's Court, managed by Peabody, offers structured daytime support that helps residents maintain stability and progress towards independence. Without this provision, we risk a rise in rough sleeping, increased use of costly nightly lets, and the displacement of vulnerable households from their local support networks. This proposal is about more than just maintaining services. It's about protecting lives, promoting dignity, and ensuring that our housing system remains resilient and responsive. It also supports our corporate priorities by helping our communities to thrive and ensuring our council is fit for the future. I commend this report and ask for your support in approving the recommendation as set out in section 2 of tonight's report on page 13, and that is to note the findings from the evaluation of the withdrawal of this support, to agree to provide funding of £177,571 for 1 year for low-level supported housing provision at Digby's Court and new directions as set out in paragraph 5.1 of this report. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Then Councillor Ritchie and then Councillor Jeffers.
Thank you, Chairman. I know that Councillor Bowles-Flint said that, you know, the decision to allocate this amount of money, which is not a small amount of money, was not taken lightly, and I'm sure that's the case, but I think it's really important to approve this decision. For as long as I can remember, this district has prided itself on having a very low number of homeless people, people literally living on the street. I think we've always been very good at being able to find people accommodation, even when it's, you know, been last minute and a real emergency. And I do know that our team are extremely good at engaging with a small number of people who do sleep rough, some of whom, and I think this, you know, this doesn't just apply in this district but elsewhere, some of whom who simply don't want to go into housing. They, you know, they actually want to stay on the street. And I know that only applies to a very small number of people, but we do try extremely hard to get them into places of safety. And I, for one, would not want to see that change. So I do think it's very important that we support this evening. It's disappointing, I guess, that this funding has been withdrawn, and it obviously has left us with a dilemma, because budgets are tight, as always, particularly so now. But if this does provide people with somewhere safe to go, particularly those who've got really difficult life problems and are struggling, then I think it's an entirely good thing to do. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Councillor Ritchie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too share Councillor Spray's disappointment for the cut in this funding and how it's come about, and how it's almost been left to Braintree District Council to try and pick up some of the fallout of this. What I am clear about from this report is that the spend of £1 to save £2 is only too apparent if we didn't approve this budget this evening. Bearing in mind that the two areas, or the two companies that we have highlighted to support, represents just over half of those that are affected in total. So, as much as we would no doubt love to help all of those, we've had to pick those out that we think are the most at need, and that represents just over half of the ask. So even more so, I think the proposed spend of 177.575 is a targeted and a reasonable spend to allow us to carry on discharging some of the services that this council does so very well to those in the district who have fallen on hard times, haven't had the best of life chances, and allows them to at least get a foothold back in our communities. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Jeffries.
Well, yes, I welcome the support given to these two venues. I particularly remember the setting up of New Directions, albeit with using the Salvation Army as well. What I'm just worried about is what's going to happen to the other accommodation blocks.
I'll come to you in a moment. Councillor Bowles.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I too share the comments in regards to this very disappointing decision in regards to the withdrawal of this funding, and appreciative of all budgetary pressures, but as it's detailed in the report about what the significant effect this will have or potentially would have on the vulnerable individuals in the district, it makes it even more disappointing of a decision that's been taken. I totally support the recommendation that's before us tonight, as the important nature, the key nature, and the life-changing potential that this could have on a number of the most vulnerable in our district. I think the cabinet member sort of in her conclusion and said it sort of perfectly in regards it is about protecting lives and promoting dignity. And despite the disappointment on the withdrawal of the funding, I fully support our decision tonight, or the recommendations before us tonight. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Bowers. Councillor Bowers-Flint.
Thank you. Your concern is my concern. What happens to the other people? What will happen to the other people is they will end up back in the hands of the county council. But by the time they do that, it will cost the county council a lot more money than what it would have cost to carry on supporting this in one way or another. I will agree that public health was not the right pocket for the money to come out of, and that decision was taken regionally, not at Essex. It was taken regionally, so it was taken out of our hands. However, I don't think enough thought was put into this, and at this stage, can I just thank Caroline Ellis-Stevenson, the head of housing, who has fought relentlessly on this. She really has, along with the chief executive, on this case, because like me, they can see that there's a vulnerable person at the end of this, and that is going to be the people who affect. And while I'm cabinet member, I don't want to see any vulnerable people being left on the streets because of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I just have 177,000 in respect of Braintree? Am I right in thinking that every other district will have similar cost shunting from the county council?
Every other district will have similar, but we have the most because we have the highest numbers.
Now, I do appreciate officers doing it. There has been no political strong message sent to county on this. Could I suggest that we do that? This is a county council that decided not to use its full council tax powers, but to actually shunt costs onto district councils who do not have the same flexibility as the county council, and considerably tighter than the county council. As I've said before, one can be the lowest tax base, the lowest council tax council if you do not provide services. And this strikes me as a service which the county council should be involved in supplying. Because as you've said, if we don't do it, it would go back to them at a more increased cost. So I'm going to suggest that we also agree that we will write to presumably the leader of Essex County Council to express our concern about this, and that we will expect to see some greater discussions for next year, because presumably we're talking about the same amount again, if I have read this right, that there will be a gap. I don't know, and maybe Lynette, you can help me on this. This new flexible scheme which comes in, the gap, would that help to address this?
The county tell us it will, but obviously we remain sceptical about it, and we remain to see what happens, because obviously we won't know until September comes. But if we're told by the specialist that it will work, then we have to believe that to start off with. I'm not so convinced.
So would it be reasonable of us to say that we will provide this for 1 year only, this funding? We'll have discussions, because at the end of the day we are concerned about the vulnerable people, but I don't think we should just lie on our backs and allow an authority to cost shunt onto this authority.
Yes, but that would be fine for you to do that, and we say that we only do it for 1 year. Thank you.
Is that agreed, colleagues? Yes? Okay, we will add that to the recommendation. Otherwise, you're happy then to take 2.1 and 2.2? Agreed? Thank you very much. That then takes us to item 8, the Public Spaces Protection Order. which is on pages 21 to 30 of your agenda, colleagues. And I'll call on Councillor Mary Cunningham to present the paper.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm pleased to introduce this report to Cabinet tonight, which seeks Cabinet's approval to commence a 28-day public consultation on the proposed implementation of a Public Spaces Protection Order, PSPO, across the Braintree district. Over the past year, our district has faced persistent antisocial behaviour linked to illegal car racing and car meets. These activities have caused significant disruption across multiple locations, including the A131, Great Notley Bypass, Horizon 120 and several industrial estates. Essex Police have received 74 calls and logged 62 storm incidents since January 2024, highlighting the scale and impact of the issue. Operation Vadar, led by Essex Police and supported by our Community Safety Partnership, has delivered targeted enforcement, including dispersal orders, Section 59 warnings and arrests. However, the transient and unpredictable nature of these events, often organised via private social media channels, makes proactive policing difficult. The proposed PSPO would provide the Council and Essex Police with additional enforcement powers to prohibit specific behaviours such as street racing, engine revving and amplified music in designated areas. It would also empower council officers to take action where Road Traffic Act offences do not apply. Evidence from neighbouring authorities such as Thurrock and Colchester shows that PSPOs can be effective in reducing or eliminating antisocial behaviour linked to car meets. This aligns with the Police and Crime Plan 2024 to 2028, which prioritises improving road safety and reducing road deaths to zero. The report recommends launching a district-wide consultation to gather views from residents, businesses and stakeholders. Subject to the outcome, authority would be delegated to myself as the Cabinet Member for Stronger Communities to implement the PSPO where appropriate. I urge colleagues to support this proposal, which represents a proactive step towards protecting our communities, improving public safety and reducing the harmful impact of antisocial vehicle-related behaviour. If any member still has doubts, our police colleagues have provided a short video clip which demonstrates the seriousness of the issues the district has. This was taken a few weeks ago, late at night, by an unmarked police car with a camera following a young driver who did 2 laps between roundabouts on the A131. And I think
we're doing 70, 80, 90, 100. 110 towards Chelmsford, still not gaining on them, 120, 130 and braking. Exhaust, sounds terrible. So with the speed we're going to go around the wrong lane at the roundabout. I think you should have your hand on your head as well. Driving licence, please. Absolutely appalling driving. You do not have to say anything but may harm your defence. If you mention now something which later on in court, anything you do say may be given in evidence. You're going to be reported for the consideration of prosecuting you for the offence of racing on the highway, excess speeds of over 130 miles an hour, careless driving, wrong lane of the roundabouts. Absolutely terrible. And your exhaust is another thing, mate. Sounds absolutely pathetic. But it's the noise for the residents. The complaints we get from it is ridiculous. Yeah? Why should they live here and put up with that?
I think you'll agree this is shocking to witness. The 20-year-old driver was arrested, he's been to court and has been given a 7-year driving ban. I would like to take the opportunity to thank Tracy Parry and her team and our police colleagues, particularly Sergeant Kevin Mail, on the amount of work and evidence they've gathered to get us to this stage. So we have the 2 recommendations before you this evening, which I urge you to support. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Cunningham. Thank you, Mary. I happily second that. Are there any comments or questions anyone has? Councillor Van Dolken and Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Chairman. Can I just clarify, is this meant to be for the entire district?
Yes, it is.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, Councillor Van Dalken. Yes, it is for the entire district.
Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you very much to Councillor Cunningham for bringing this forward. I think it's a fantastic development. It's something that personally a lot of residents have got in touch with me to complain about, particularly on Springwood Drive car meets, big problem. So really, really good to see the council taking action on this. I just wondered whether Councillor Cunningham might be able to provide some more information about the potential timeline of implementation, providing there is a successful outcome, obviously, to the consultation. Additionally, whether or not the success of the Braintree Town PSPO that we introduced a few months ago has informed the work that's gone into this. Has that been a success? And does she expect that the success we saw there can be replicated in clamping down these car meets district-wide? Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Edwards. If I give you the time frame first. So we are hoping to start the consultation, the 28-day consultation, on the 11th of August. That would take us up till the 8th of September. The results of that consultation will be collated. It will come back to me as the Cabinet member. This is providing Cabinet approves it tonight. Then there is obviously signage to go up. I mean, and that's quite a complex issue because some of the signage is under Essex County Council's authority, and there are some signs that will be under national highways. So the best we're looking at is the middle of November. That's if those last 2, the County Council and National Highways, come back to us with all the detail, that the licences to put those signs up. Although talks are going on at the moment as to where they go, and Essex County Council Highways, I believe, have been very helpful to our colleagues in helping with that. So that's the timeline, hopefully towards the end of November, middle to the end of November. Yes, certainly the ongoing success of the Braintree Town PSPO has played a part in our keenness to undertake this. But of course, this is the police as well, that they have had a lot of the reports direct to them as well. So we don't see why this shouldn't be as much a success as Braintree. Thank you.
Any other comments? Councillor Ritchie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I completely agree with the approach to take this PSPO to consultation across the district. For a number of years, as a representative for Great Notley Parish Council, we have had a number of parishioners and comments on a yearly basis based around some of the reckless and mindless driving that goes on the A131 around Great Notley and sometimes in Great Notley. And I think this is a step of confidence that will be shared across a number of parishes across the district and some of the town councils across the district. And the report tonight outlines exactly how that consultation will take place and some of the items that the consultation is seeking to get some comments on. What this consultation doesn't aim to do is not allow those who want to meet in a controlled environment in the right circumstances, as per a legal car meet that was held at the Park and Ride off of Essex Regiment Way a couple of years ago, that was well organised, well attended, even by Essex Police's roads traffic team. This is not about spoiling fun for law-abiding people who spend time and money as a hobby on modifying their cars in a legal way. This is about avoiding the illegal use of our roads and our neighbourhoods for people who recklessly endanger their lives and lives of other people. I fully support this recommendation this evening.
Thank you very much. Councillor Jeffries.
Thank you. I'm sure I can speak on behalf of the Corporate Policy Development Committee, who, as part of our scrutiny into antisocial behaviour, it was raised in particular in the Finchamfield area, and although it didn't form part of our report because it was outside the remit, it certainly was part of the discussion, so I'm sure they'll be very pleased to see this going ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Bowers-Flint.
Thank you, Chairman. And I understand that a lot of this nuisance, shall we say, has been caused around the 131, but it also does, Councillor Cunningham has said that it will cover the whole of the area, whole of the district, but it does occur on the A120. And as far as I live away from the A120, I can hear it in my house. And you literally, at times, especially when they're motorbikes, you wait for the bang because you know that they are going at such excessive speeds. And what we need to consider is how many people have been killed on Essex roads this year. It's frightening. So anything that we can do, and if it is as successful as our first PSPO, then good luck, because it really does make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tom Cunningham.
Thank you very much. Just really like to associate myself with everything that's been said and congratulate Councillor Mrs Cunningham, but also the community safety team for bringing this forward. And I agree with the sentiment of Councillor Bowers-Flint when talking about this has been a truly dreadful year across the county. And I know Essex County Council working hard on an updated speed strategy and working very hard with and very fortunate to have the full support of Essex's quite excellent Police, Fire and Crime Commissioner, Roger Hurst, in efforts that. But I think the fact that this PSPO has been able to happen, and that we're able to go out for consultation, I do think is a mark of not just the effectiveness of raising local issues here, but a testament to the excellent relationship our communities team do have with the police, and the excellent response of Essex Police to issues not just raised across the county, but issues particularly raised in this district when we're looking at things through what we can achieve at Braintree District Council. And again, I think that's a tribute to the Operational Police Command, but again, also to the PFCC, Mr Hurst, who has and continues to do a fantastic job for Essex. So I think this is a very, very good outcome, not just for Great Notley residents, but for residents of the whole of the district this evening, and support it totally. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to add my comments as well to Tracy, through you, Mary, really, to Tracy and her team for the great work and the very good working relationship that's been established with the local police. I think that anybody who hasn't seen that video before will probably be quite shocked at what goes on. I know I was quoted in I think I sat in on a Police, Fire and Crime Commissioner for a meeting for you, Mary, and I referred to Braintree becoming the Le Mans of Essex. I think that shows I wasn't far wrong on that, and hopefully this will enable for stronger action to be taken. It's the noise, as quite rightly pointed out, but it's also the danger to other people using the road who are not expecting to have two cars whiz past them at 130 miles an hour. And I speak as one who's had that on one evening coming back quite late from Chelmsford. I don't know whether I was caught in a race or not, but it is actually quite frightening when you are on the inside lane doing 60, 70, and suddenly these people are racing past you, and you know full well that the control of that vehicle is obviously potentially in doubt. So I hope very much that colleagues will agree to support the recommendations before us tonight in 2.1 and 2.2, and that we can work as quickly as possible and not allow too much red tape to take up time to get the necessary signs up, etc., even if we have to paint them and go out and do them ourselves. Okay, are you agreed with the recommendations? Agreed? Thank you very much. That takes us on to item 9, the fourth quarter performance management report 2024-25, which is contained on pages 31 to 75 of your agenda, colleagues, and Councillor Kevin Bowers will introduce the paper. Councillor Bowers.
Thank you, Chairman. I have the pleasure of presenting the fourth quarter performance management report to Cabinet tonight, which is, as being the fourth quarter from January to March 2025, it therefore provides the end of year detail and illustrates performance for the full 2024-25 year, April 2024 to March 2025. Firstly, I'm pleased to report that there have been 20 projects completed in the fourth quarter with some significant outcomes. Some of these include the trial of the landlord incentive scheme providing secure housing to 51 households and secured funding to continue into the next year. The contract was awarded for the construction of the Whittam Community Centre. The Beat the Street scheme was delivered, engaging over 11,000 residents. The Council Community Grant Scheme awarded over 77,000 to community projects. Planning permission was awarded for the remaining plots at Horizon 120. Work to confirm the viability of the Whittam Enterprise units developed options to deliver the site. Play areas were refurbished in Braintree and Sybil Headingham. The solar canopy was completed at Whittam Leisure Centre, and the UK Shared Prosperity Fund supported 11 decarbonisation initiatives across the district. At the end of the year, 30 projects have been completed, 11 projects are on track, 2 projects are off track, and 10 performance indicators have missed target. We have 2 projects which have an amber status, which are the Whittam and Housestead Town Centre regeneration, where permissions are still being sought for Phase 2 works on Essex Highways assets, and the design supplementary planning document where resourcing challenges have necessitated a review of the project timeline. The fourth quarter report provides further detail regarding the completed, on-track and amber statuses. Please note that some projects have had their target date adjusted in line with the appropriate change management procedures. At the end of the year, 6 performance indicators have met or exceeded target. 295 affordable homes were delivered. Major, minor and other planning applications the target was exceeded target and were decided on time. Recycling contamination rate was below the target. Days taken to process housing benefit or council tax benefit new claims was below the target. Collection rate for business rates exceeded the target. Performance indicators which have missed target by less than 5% were the percentage of household waste recycled, percentage of fly tips cleared in 24 hours, percentage of invoices paid on time, and collection rate for council tax. The following indicators missed target by more than 5%: number of visitors to leisure centres, kilograms of residual waste collected per household, percentage of disabled facilities grants approved within timescales, percentage of calls resolved at the first point of contact in the customer service centre, the average number of days to process housing benefit claim changes, and percentage of stage 1 complaints resolved within timescales. Further details of all the performance indicators can be found in the performance indicators in detail section of the report. Moving on to the finance summary, the revenue outturn position illustrates an overall positive variance of 2.6 million after allowing for carry forwards proposed by services approved by myself as the cabinet member responsible. A combination of higher for longer interest rates and large cash balances being managed resulted in Treasury management income significantly exceeding budget. The garden waste subscription service also exceeded budget expectations. As this was the first subscription year and has been referenced previously, a prudent approach has been adopted in taking in the experience of local authorities who have gone through the process. As the positions were being reported through the in-year budget monitoring, members will be aware that income targets for both these areas were increased for the 25-26 budget. Income from council tax sharing agreement with the major preceptors was also higher, reflecting the increased tax yield and sustained collection performance in the year. Adverse positions, as contained in the report, include asset management, mainly due to unresolved issues relating to services charges where provisions for increased cost and or lower income have been made. Provisions such as these will be kept under review during this financial year. Environment incurred increased staffing costs in building control. where a difficult labour market exists at the time of new regulatory requirements have increased the demands on the service, and there was a shortfall in income against budget. I'm pleased to report that the overall position for sustainable development continued to improve quarter on quarter. However, this still reflected a significant underachievement of income, mainly on planning applications. However, this is in part offset by underspends on staffing and the receipt of one-off government funding. Capital expenditure for this year was 5.7 million. The main areas of spend being on community facilities, sport and leisure facilities, climate change actions, shared prosperity projects, operational vehicles and equipment, and grants for residential disability adaptations. There is an underspend across several projects, totaling 517,000, and 4.5 million of budgets have been reprofiled into the 25-26 year for continuing projects. The outturn position is subject to finalisation and audit of the statement of accounts. Though this has been discussed previously, I just want to make the point that significant variances contained in the reported position have already been reflected in the budget for 25-26. That said, further work will be undertaken to assess whether further adjustments are necessary as planning commences for next year's budget cycle. As referenced, this report provides the year-end position, and I would just like to highlight some of the great work and key achievements the Council has made over the course of the whole financial year. 153 cases of homelessness were prevented, 295 affordable homes were delivered, 420 businesses received support. The success of the Fellas Fair resulted in a second event being organised and the creation of the ongoing Fellas Forum. Community safety social media campaigns reached more than 48,000 people and received over 1,100 engagements. The landlord incentive scheme has seen 51 households assisted into privately rented accommodation throughout the year. Refurbishment of play areas and skate parks in the district has enhanced community spaces for children and young people. The solar canopy, as I mentioned earlier, at Whittam Leisure Centre was completed and can power both the leisure centre and provide excess electricity on sunny days. 435 hours of learning was delivered to third sector leaders through the Community Investment Programme. 807 fly tips were cleared, with 785 in 24 hours. The North Essex Council's Climate Partnership was established. 14 fully electric light commercial vehicles were added to the fleet. The Green Skills Programme was launched, offering accredited qualifications in domestic energy retrofitting and assessment, and numerous marketing campaigns were delivered to support behavioural change to positively influence recycling, participation and air quality around schools. We should not take our achievements lightly, and to be able to provide such outcomes in such challenging times is a credit to this council. I would just like to personally thank every member of staff we have at BDC, as everyone's hard work and dedication is appreciated, and the results of this is illustrated in all the work that is achieved as detailed in this full report. I would also like to say a personal thank you to Tom Williams, our Corporate Performance Coordinator, who pulls these reports together for us, along with the support I received from Tracy Headford, our People and Performance Manager, along with the continued support of Phil Mars, our excellent Section 151 officer, in relation to the finance summaries in each quarter's report. In conclusion, hopefully Cabinet will be happy to note this report tonight, and I will welcome any comments and questions which colleagues will hopefully be able to assist in their own portfolio areas. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Councillor Bowers. Any comments or questions, colleagues? Lynette, Councillor Bowers-Flint, then I'll go to Councillor Pell and Councillor Beavis.
I'll just comment on the figures provided to us by our provider at the amount of visitors at leisure centres. They're incorrect. We know they're incorrect. And hopefully, once a new contract starts in September, we will get better figures that we can accept, because the figures that have been coming in to us for the last 12 months have been nowhere near correct. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to comment on that at all? No? Councillor Pell.
Thank you, Mr Chairman. I'd like to speak on item 3.4, the amber status regarding the works in Halstead, and it also applies to Whittam, that this is an embarrassment to us, that this has been going on and on and on. We keep being told it's coming, it's happening soon, and it doesn't happen. We've had phase 1 happen, now nothing. It's all reliant on Essex County Council. It's time we really gave them a good kick in to get on with this. They're paid to do a job and they're not doing it. And interrupts people's lifestyles who are working in the town because they're not sure when this is going to happen and when it isn't. I mean, I know that we're already 2 years behind in projects, but I'm sure it's longer than that. It's not good enough.
Thank you. I'll come to Councillor we'll come back. Councillor Beavis.
Thank you, Chairman. And Councillor Bowers-Flint picked up on the leisure that I was going to speak about, and I wasn't clear whether that was positive or negative, whether it was better than we thought, or so I'd be glad to have the figures on that. If they're not correct, to get the actuals would be really helpful. And then just going back to this this red status on the kilograms of the residual waste. And then at the end of the paragraph, it talks about that the goals were ambiguous. And if they were ambiguous, why were they set at that rate? Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. I saw Councillor Spray, and then I'll come round again then.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Just a quick word on the delay to producing a design supplementary planning document, which, as my colleague Councillor Bauer says, is on amber status. This is a very important document because this authority, the planning team and the planning committee take high design on new developments very seriously. But the senior officer, principal planning officer dealing with this is at the same time also managing several very complicated and complex other planning projects, and it is necessary to finish those off. Some of them are time sensitive, so they have deadlines, so it's necessary to finish those before we pick up the work again on the planning document, which is not to say that work is not being done on it. We've had the first public consultation towards the end of last year, and the results of that are being analysed, and when time allows, that will be pulled together, and there will be a further round of consultation before the draft document is ready for approval. So I just want to offer reassurance that it hasn't stopped, it is ongoing, it is just a little bit of a delay due to time pressures at the moment. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Councillor Bowers, are we able to pick up the 2 points from Councillor Mrs Pell and Councillor Beavis, Mrs Beavis?
I think Councillor Ritchie will probably be able to answer Councillor Pell's point. I don't know whether Councillor Cunningham will be able to pick up about the residual
Yes, I might
waste.
just ask Councillor Beavis at the time to repeat it, because I just, yeah.
And then we'll come back.
Thank you, Tim. So through you and for the residents of Houston and the residents of Whittam, this has been a particularly complex project, and it has taken well over 2 years, in fact, to get this project up and running and on its way. As Councillor Pell quite rightly says, phase 1 has been complete in both Houston and Whittam, which is a really good step in the right direction. And we are currently in the middle of receiving the minor works agreements for phase 2 of this project. Phase 2 being the slightly more intrusive works, and as such we've had to work really closely with Essex County Highways and Essex County Legal Services, and actually I'd quite like to thank Councillor Cunningham in his other role at Essex County Council for acting as a good go-between between the two departments in trying to expedite the issuing of the licences. Working with a contractor whereby some of the ordering for the long lead items has to coincide with only having received a authorisation to work has often added some additional delays to the work. But I simply cannot risk project spend until I have got that licence in my hand, because if we don't receive that licence, I'm not going to risk taxpayers' money on ordering items that we might not be able to use straight away. So undoubtedly this project has had its complexities. Of the projects I've managed, this is probably one of the most complex ones I've had to deal with in a very long time. However, I can give assurances to residents of Houston and Whittam that within the next few weeks we will have the minor works agreement for phase 2. We will have a reworked project timeline. We'll share that with Houston Town Council and Whittam Town Council and any members who are interested. We look forward to getting the second part of those works completed as soon as we can. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Did you want to come back, Councillor Pell?
Yeah, I would. I'd just like to say that the reason I'm interested in asking this is because Braintree District Council is bearing the brunt of the blame. And it isn't Braintree District Council, it's Essex County Council. So I want to be fair to Braintree to let residents know that it isn't your fault?
I think there's a shared responsibility when it comes to project works, and as a project team we often try and work hand in glove with those who are trying to assist us to deliver these. So we try to avoid finger pointing. This is about delivering for everyone across the districts, and we'll continue to do so.
Okay, right. Now, we've got an unanswered point from Councillor Beavis, which Councillor Cunningham wanted a bit of...
Yes,
further
no,
information.
I think the report actually says ambitious, not ambiguous. So what I would say on that is, now we could sit here and fudge the figures, cook the books, actively work downwards for our own political convenience, the recycling figures, because we know that over the last 10, 15 years there has been a regrettable trend in the amount of recycling that's taking place right across the board, not a Braintree District thing. We actually, Braintree District, even under current arrangements, performs comparatively well compared to most across the district. So we could cook the books, we could doctor them, or we could actually acknowledge that we're not reaching our own target and put forward one of the largest changes to waste collection that this authority has had in the 50 odd years it's been in existence, going far further, faster to get to the government's target of 65% recycling in the next few years. So yes, whilst we are not reaching our ambitious recycling target, I don't think there is another authority who has responded as positively in this county to the challenges that are down the road. And if I may just say something a little bit about the wider strategic investment programme, because I appreciate there is frustration, and I had the portfolio before Frankie Ritchie for 8 years on Witham and Halstead, and I totally appreciate the frustrations on that. I also bear some responsibility at Essex County Council, and I can tell you Essex County Council looks after projects over 12 years, and there's no projects, probably town centre works across the county, that are getting more attention than Witham and Halstead from Essex County Council. I don't know why that is. Who knows? But that's the way things are at the moment, and we're pushing ahead of that. But I would challenge any member to look and find a local authority that's delivered £100 million worth of investment during a pandemic, that delivered tens of millions of pounds during a pandemic, that delivered unprecedented community and economic support within their own means during a pandemic, and that's still able to provide a performance report as good as this with such sound financial backing, with such sound financial foundations ready to fit for the future, whatever that future may look like. I appreciate the frustrations, I appreciate the criticisms, we take them and deal with them. But I would ask colleagues from all sides, perhaps maybe to reflect on a bigger picture and what this authority has actually achieved over the last 6-7 years, because it's pretty unprecedented for an authority of this size.
Thank you very much indeed. Councillor Bowers and then Councillor Lynette Bowers-Flynn.
That's why I put my hand up, because we not to miss Councillor Beavis's point about the leisure numbers, because she was sort of instigating we've got some actual numbers but we haven't. So if Councillor Bowles-Flynn can just clarify the position on that, I think that we need that clarification. Thank you.
Thank you. Lynette.
Thank you. What you asked for will basically not happen until the contract starts with Freedom on the 1st of September, because it is basically the current system that produces those, as far as I'm concerned, rogue figures. I've spoken with the Chief Executive of Freedom and expressed my concern of previous figures that we've been given, and he assures me that they use a totally different system and the figures we get will be correct. So you will get them, but it won't be until after the 1st of September when that contract has started, because it's only got another month to run.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman, and thank you to Lynette Bowles-Flynn and also for Councillor Cunningham's comments. I mean, we sit on, many of us in this room, on scrutiny as well, and quite often we ask for a bit more narrative around some of these issues, and I think it would be quite helpful for that, because it's not there. And actually, when you do read that paragraph, I think the final sentence actually says, Note that some 24 waste figures have been validated and may differ from previous published reports. So it's just a bit confusing, that paragraph.
Yeah, well, I thank Councillor Beavers for that clarification. And to her enormous credit, she does religiously turn up. Unfortunately, not every member of her committee, of her group, turns up to the policy working groups. I think some were actually having political photo shoots taken in Finchingfield during a recent one. But I'm very happy to give an undertaking to attend whatever upcoming policy group there is. I think we're probably due an update on the waste strategy, so I'm delighted to attend and give an update on where we are in terms of current policy and any future policy. Very happy to give that undertaking.
Thank you. Councillor Van Dolken.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Just to comment on something rather different. I worked in business all my working life, and I always look at the number of businesses. I find that one of the interesting performance indicators. And even though we don't have any direct responsibility for it, it is quite telling. I think that over the last 2 quarters, the last 2 quarters indicated here, the numbers have gone down compared to the year previously. I think this is very concerning, both from the point of view of the rates that we rely on, and also, of course, jobs. And one can only think that there's something in the economic environment which is causing this, and it's very concerning. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any comments? Councillor Ritchie?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it would be good to end on just how well this authority has actually done over the last quarter into the end of March 2025. The report does highlight a lot that I think we have to be proud for, not just as a council team and administration, but also as a council officer team as well. It just highlights and signifies just how well we really are. And actually, just to pick up one of the points on recycling, of course, it would be great to be better at recycling. I think the latest figures that I could just quickly grab for 23-24 show that we were at about 44% nationally. And the gap between the lowest performers and the highest performers of 17% at its lowest and 67% at its highest shows that actually the delta between being really good and really bad, we're not doing too bad at all, because there are some that are just woefully inadequate, and some of those aren't just the London boroughs. We're talking of councils like Liverpool City Council, Barrow-in-Furness, Birmingham City Council, obviously. They're having their difficulties, but it just goes to show that those who can recycle aren't probably putting in some of the efforts that we are. And it's really good to also know that whilst the green bin subscription service is showing a good return, it's not all about our policy and what we want to do. It's a conscious decision of what our residents want to do. It's a paid-for service. They can make a choice to take their green recycling to one of our recycling centres or to fill up their black bins, and they're not. They're taking that conscious decision to use a service that we provide, and we are providing it well, and they are using it well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Bowers?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I just want to make the point that Councillor Beavers was saying about the bit in the report that says the figures have been validated and may differ from previous published reports. But just for clarity, that is just about some of the numbers have now been corrected because of the validation. It's not that any information is incorrect or held back and that kind of thing. It's the transparency of this report, and following on from what Councillor Ritchie was saying, even like the when you look at the recycling, then we're still only 2%, less than 2% under the target. But I just want to make the point that the data is correct in the report, and because I also pay tribute to the people who support and put these reports together, I just didn't want it coming across that some of this data may be right, maybe not right. It is right, but what we do the next quarter, if there's bits that have actually been validated and we feel they need correcting, then that's what's been done on a couple of the waste performance indicators. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Can I just say, I want to pay tribute, one, to our officers for the work that they have put in carrying out the policies of this council, but also to the members of Cabinet for the part that you have played, together with the deputies, in ensuring that there is clear direction, clear political direction from this group so that officers know where they are. I go into some authorities and there clearly isn't that direction, and that puts officers in a very, very invidious position when they don't know where they are on positions like that. And also to congratulate the council, particularly, of course, the administration side, for holding its nerve on some issues, such as the green waste bin collection, which we were told would be a disaster and everything else. And we won't mention the names of those councillors who said it, but anybody who wants to check them out can find them. We held our nerve, and actually we were proved right. Not only right on that case, but on so many other cases as well. So, but what this report does is also acknowledge we've still got a lot more work to do. We're not resting on our laurels. We want to make sure, and I particularly want to make sure, that as we hand over the operation and the issues that this council is responsible for to any successor authorities, that successor authority is going to get a pretty good hand in terms of the services that are coming forward. And that must be our aim over the next couple of years as well. So congratulations to everyone. Still a lot of work to be done. And there will be the need to keep the eye on the ball as we move through this transitional period to whatever may succeed. But I have confidence that both members and officers alike will not let the district down, because if we let the district down, we let our residents down. And I'm pretty convinced that we will not let that happen. So, a bit of a homily there, but are you happy then to accept the recommendation to note the performance of the council for the fourth quarter and the financial year 24 to 25? Is that agreed? Agreed. Thank you. That then moves to item 5. We have no, sorry, item 5, item 10. We have no private items on the agenda, so there is no need to exclude the public and press for any items. And that brings us to the end of the agenda, and I will declare the meeting closed at 8:28. Thank you so much. Thank you.